Hello everyone, welcome to the joint operational briefing. As I stated earlier, please. The mic's on. As always, we're going to be taking the questions at the end, so please hold your questions, you'll be selected. And now welcome to the podium Governor Ron DeSantis.
Good morning. I was able to meet this morning with some members of one of the urban search and rescue teams from Virginia that are now deployed. They drove, I think, almost 18 hours and then immediately went right to work. We also have teams from Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We appreciate that. Our folks in Florida, particularly the South Florida search and rescue teams, have been working tirelessly and relentlessly. It's obviously physically very taxing. It's also emotionally draining. As many of you know, they were able to identify a child whose father worked for the city of Miami Fire Department, and these are tough things for them. I mean, obviously we focus on the families, and rightfully so, but our folks have gone through a lot who've been out there, and I think that added support really means a lot. And so I just wanted to publicly thank again the folks I met in Virginia, as well as Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I also want to thank the President for supporting doing 100% reimbursement for some of the things here in terms of costs like debris removal. It can be very pricey, particularly for a municipality and even for a major county like Miami-Dade, and obviously the state would have a share of that as well. So he was very, very supportive of doing a 30-day reimbursement. That'll be very, very helpful, I think, to all levels of government here in Florida. So we appreciate that commitment. Of course, as many of you know, Tropical Storm Elsa has now become Hurricane Elsa, and we are working. I've ordered our Department of Emergency Management to start preparing a potential state of emergency. So I'm going to be working on that today. If we do the executive order, that will assist our emergency response team in preparations for Hurricane Elsa. Now, we don't know exactly the track that it's going to take. It is possible that we could see tropical force winds as early as Sunday night in southern Florida. And so we're actively monitoring the situation like we always would do with these storms. But given what we're doing on this site, we're also paying special attention to any impacts that could happen here in northeast Miami-Dade County. It is possible that this area could see tropical storm force winds. Not guaranteed, but it is possible. And so our Department of Emergency Management is assuming that will happen and making the necessary preparations to be able, obviously, to protect a lot of the equipment. You could potentially have an event with the building as well. So we are going like we normally would with these things. This is just what we do, but we're adding this special emphasis on this site because we understand the sensitivities involved. How it will work most likely is the further west that this thing tracks, the less likely, of course, there'll be impacts here, but it would likely be stronger when it got to the Gulf of Mexico. The more it interacts with land, the Dominican Republic and Cuba, the more likely you would be to slow it down. But there will be some impacts in Florida, at some point, starting as early as Sunday night. So we're going to be working on that and working on this. We'll do them both on a dual track, and obviously our emphasis with the storm, do what we normally do, but then also a special sensitivity to anything that would need to be done to make sure that the efforts here are supported and protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. And now for Spanish remarks, Lieutenant Governor Janet Núñez.
Buenos días. El gobernador DeSantis y yo nos pudimos reunir con el equipo de Virginia que ha llegado después de manejar 18 horas. Enseguida se incorporaron en parte de nuestro grupo, nuestro equipo de búsqueda y de rescate. Se han desplegado 5 fuerzas de tarea federal de Virginia, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania y New Jersey. Les queremos agradecer el apoyo que nos han dado, que nos han brindado a nuestros equipos. Como se pueden imaginar, nuestros equipos que están aquí desde el primer día están agotados, no solamente físicamente, pero también mentalmente y emocionalmente. Como vieron, el gobernador indicó que esta mañana la tormenta tropical se ha convertido en un huracán. Debido a la incertidumbre de los impactos, el gobernador está planeando emitir una orden ejecutiva tal vez más tarde hoy. Esa orden ejecutiva nos ayudará en lo que es los equipos estatales, los recursos de respuesta y de emergencia, en los preparativos para ese huracán. Todavía no sabemos el impacto, pero debido a lo que estamos viendo en lo que es la trayectoria, tal vez vamos a ver ráfagas de algún tipo aquí, tal vez el domingo por la tarde, por la noche. Y por eso vamos a continuar monitoreando, hablando con los expertos, a ver si hay que hacer algún cambio a lo que es la trayectoria, los pronósticos. De nuevo, desde esta mañana, 64 personas se han registrado para asistencia. Le agradecemos no solo las agencias estatales, pero también FEMA por su ayuda, su asistencia, que sigue siendo esencial para todo lo que es el trabajo que tienen adelante. También hemos proveído no solo PPE, pero también botas de repuesto, otro tipo de ropa para nuestros socorristas. Esto va a seguir continuando siendo una misión del Estado. Desde esta mañana, el Departamento de Transporte ha retirado más de 170 camiones cargados de material de construcción del sitio con un peso total de más de 1.600 toneladas. Nuestro Departamento de Oportunidades Económicas de la Florida ha completado más de 28 evaluaciones de los negocios impactados. Y como siempre, le agradecemos a los equipos, les agradecemos a todos los que están trabajando en esta tarea que cada día se pone más y más duro, más y más difícil. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And now, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman-Schultz.
Thank you so much. I had a chance to meet with a number of the families this morning, both survivor families as well as families that are still struggling to know about the results with their own family members. And I can tell you that both following yesterday's visit by President Biden, meeting for 3 hours with the families, and then their sense today that there is so much more relief and reassurance and comfort following his visit. That the role of consoler in chief is so important, and it's one that President Biden really does better than no one else. I particularly want to stress his proactive announcement that the federal government would provide 100% reimbursement for the next 30 days. I know I began talking about that and the impact on the budget for little towns like Surfside and even the county, as the governor mentioned, knowing that those costs are going to be taken care of 100% in the first 30 days of this crisis is really important, and it takes a load and a burden off of our governments here that are responding. I want to also emphasize that with the potential onset of a hurricane, we're certainly taking a whole of government approach to this. We always take a whole of government approach to when a hurricane potentially is going to hit our shores. So making sure that you're ready, that you prepare for a hurricane, the hurricane possibly coming now, and make sure that you have your 7 days of supplies and get your house and your personal belongings in order, and make sure that you have a plan to keep yourself safe if it does come closer to our shores. And then lastly, just something really important, because as time goes on in a disaster, we often have the bureaucracy start to set in, and we're talking about people here, so we want to make sure that they have accurate information. At the mobile office hours that I have at the Family Assistance Center, and talking with families yesterday, there's starting to be concerns. Some of them are staying in hotels, and the time for them to stay in a hotel is going to run out, and they want to know how can they get access to the federal relief if they don't qualify for federal relief, which if they're not citizens and don't have a U.S. citizen child, then they wouldn't. Where can they get access to the charitable relief? Because the charitable relief has been so incredibly generous. Everyone who needs access to the individual assistance or help from FEMA or from the charities that have been working to assist families would do so at the Family Assistance Center. Make sure, if you're a family in need that has been impacted by the collapse, to go to the Family Assistance Center, register with the Family Assistance Center if you have not done so already, and also make sure that you register with FEMA, which you can also do at the Family Assistance Center. And then, our office is always available, and I have staff on the ground at the Family Assistance Center to help cut through any of the red tape. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Now Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levine Cava.
Here we are, day 9. Yesterday evening, just before 5 p.m., the search and rescue mission was able to resume operations, as you all know, following the engineer's evaluation. Our first responders have been hard at work, as they have been this entire time, continuing to search through the pile that is accessible to them. And last night we did discover 2 additional victims. Tragically, one of those victims was the 7-year-old daughter of a City of Miami firefighter. And it goes without saying that every night since this last Wednesday has been immensely difficult for everybody, and particularly the families that have been impacted. But last night was uniquely different. It was truly different and more difficult for our first responders. These men and women are paying an enormous human toll each and every day, and I ask that all of you please keep all of them in your thoughts and prayers. They truly represent the very best in all of us, and we need to be there for them as they are here for us. With these developments last night, we now have we have now confirmed 20 deaths. 188 people are accounted for, and 128 are unaccounted for. And you'll notice that the number of accounted for people has increased, which is of course good news. And it is one of the reasons that it has increased is that in some cases in which we originally received a report of a potentially missing person, that report was only marked as one person. But when the detectives were able to reach and verify the safety of the person in question, we discovered that there are, in fact, several family members who could have been counted for potentially in the building, and now we can mark them as safe. So this is very, very good news. Again, that's 188 people accounted for. Our detectives are continually conducting an ongoing audit of this list as we verify every single angle, every single report, so that these numbers will continue to change. As we've said all along, they're fluid, and you can understand exactly why. Our engineers and our Miami-Dade Fire team have continued to evaluate and test the site as they work to expand the search area as quickly as possible and as it becomes safe to do so. We're proceeding with our evaluation of all of the factors all of the time and the impacts related to the demolition of the building, while the search and rescue continues as our top priority. And it is important to stress, as our engineer explained yesterday evening, that a demolition cannot be done overnight. In fact, it takes weeks to demolish a building. We continue to aggressively monitor what is now Hurricane Elsa. We could potentially feel sustained tropical storm force winds as early as Sunday midday. We'll be joined by our Weather Service and our Department Incident Commander Charles Cyril and our Florida Department of Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie to provide more detail on our preparedness for the site and our storm prep for the entire community. So please stay tuned. I want to once again remind everybody here in South Florida that hurricane season is very much upon us, and it's important to make sure that you have a plan in place and that you take key precautions at home. Everyone must prepare now for the eventuality of a storm. As we've been saying all along, the level of coordination and collaboration between Miami-Dade County, the state of Florida, the city of Surfside, the federal government, and all of our local partners is truly unprecedented. This is truly unprecedented, and we know the world is watching. This has been the largest non-hurricane related emergency mobilization of resources in the history of our state, and it would not be possible without the ongoing cooperation and commitment of everybody on the ground. So please, let's all continue to keep the victims, their families, our first responders in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you, and God bless. Aquí estamos en el día 9. Ayer por la noche, alrededor de a las 5 de la tarde, la misión de búsqueda y rescate pudo reanudar sus operaciones después de la evaluación de los ingenieros, y nuestros primeros en responder han estado trabajando arduamente como siempre para continuar buscando en la parte de la pila a la que tienen acceso. Anoche recuperamos a 2 víctimas más. Trágicamente, una de estas víctimas era la hija de 7 años de un bombero de la ciudad de Miami. No hace falta decir que todas las noches desde el miércoles pasado han sido inmensamente difíciles para todos, especialmente para las familias afectadas. Pero anoche fue especialmente difícil para nuestros socorristas. Mi corazón está con ellos. Con estos desarrollos de anoche, ahora tenemos 20 muertes confirmadas, 188 personas contabilizadas y 128 desaparecidas. Notará que el número de personas contabilizadas ha aumentado. Esto es una buena noticia, muy buena noticia. Una de las razones por las que este número ha aumentado es que en algunos casos, cuando recibimos regionalmente un informe de una persona potencialmente desaparecida, ese informe solo se marcó con una persona, pero cuando los detectives pueden llegar y verificar la seguridad de la persona en cuestión, descubrimos que de hecho hay varios miembros de la familia que potencialmente podrían haber estado en el edificio, pero no lo estaban. Y están marcados como seguros ahora, y esas son muy buenas noticias para todos. Estamos procediendo con nuestra evaluación de todos los factores y impactos relacionados con la demolición del edificio mientras la búsqueda y rescate continúan como nuestra principal prioridad. Es importante enfatizar, como explicó nuestro ingeniero ayer, que una demolición no se puede hacer de la noche a la mañana. De hecho, se necesitan semanas para demoler un edificio. También continuamos monitoreando agresivamente lo que ahora es el huracán Elsa. Potencialmente podríamos sentir vientos sostenidos con fuerza de tormenta tropical tan temprano como el domingo al mediodía. Una vez más, quiero recordarles a todos aquí en el sur de la Florida, es la temporada de huracanes y es muy importante asegurarse de tener un plan y tomar las precauciones en serio. Por favor, continúe manteniendo a las víctimas, sus familias y todos nuestros socorristas en sus pensamientos y oraciones. Gracias y Dios te bendiga.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now City of Miami Mayor Francis Suarez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to all who have collaborated and cooperated on this terrifying few days that we've been here. I can confirm, as the governor and the mayor have stated, that the City of Miami Fire Department has lost a 7-year-old daughter of one of our own firefighters. She was recovered last night by members of our Urban Search and Rescue Team in Florida Task Force 2. Our chief is asking that all of you respect the privacy of the immediate family as well as our fire department, which is understandably grieving tremendously. I'm the father of 2 children. I have a 7-year-old son, and the thought of losing him in this way is unimaginable for me and my family. And I think this tragedy has haunted so many of us because so many of us know someone who has been in the building or affected by this tragedy. And so now, not only do we know someone, this is someone that's a member of our family, of our fire family. So that's why I'm here today. Estoy aquí agradecido a los esfuerzos de todos, particularmente los bomberos que están de búsqueda y rescate, que están cada día arduamente tratando de rescatar a personas atrapadas en el edificio. Puedo confirmar, como ha confirmado la alcaldesa Condal y el gobernador, que perdimos la hija de un miembro de nuestra familia de bomberos. Fue rescatada, fue conseguida por un miembro del equipo de búsqueda y rescate nuestro y del Task Force Florida número 2. Le pedimos a todos ustedes en la prensa que por favor respeten la privacidad del bombero y de nuestro departamento de bomberos, que obviamente están severamente afectados en este momento. Yo, siendo padre de 2 hijos, uno de 7 años también, no puedo comprender ni imaginar la pérdida que está sintiendo en este momento el miembro de nuestra familia en la ciudad de Miami. Así que esta tragedia que ha tocado la vida de tantas personas, no solo directamente, pero tanto por las razones que alguien conoce a alguien que está en el edificio afectado por esta tragedia, ha sido algo que en este momento está afectando íntimamente a la ciudad de Miami. Por esa razón me encuentro aquí hoy. De nuevo les pido sus oraciones y también les pido privacidad por la familia y por nuestro departamento. Gracias.
Thank you, Mayor Suarez. From the National Weather Service, Robert Moriera.
Good morning. We continue to closely monitor Hurricane Elsa as it moves over the Caribbean Sea this weekend. By late Sunday or early Monday, we expect that the storm will be emerging off the coast of Cuba and approaching or getting pretty close to Florida during the Monday to Tuesday timeframe. So as the mayor and governor said earlier, the tropical storm force winds could begin as early as Sunday here in South Florida. Most likely, based on the official forecast, it would be Monday and possibly even into Tuesday. So we do have this weekend to prepare for the possibility of tropical storm conditions at least. There's still a lot of uncertainty, as you've heard. There's still a lot of uncertainty in the forecast, how it will evolve, how the storm will interact with the land areas that are to our south, and that could affect not only the intensity or how strong the storm is, but also the track that it takes. So right now, we'll continue to closely monitor the storm. We'll be providing, of course, advisories every 6 hours, and just to be ready, look over our preparedness plans this weekend, and be ready for the potential of tropical storm conditions, along with heavy rainfall early next week. Brevemente en español, estamos siguiendo de monitorear el huracán Elsa, que está sobre el Mar Caribe. Se espera que atraviese el Mar Caribe este fin de semana, posiblemente para tarde el domingo o temprano el lunes, ya acercándose un poco más hacia la Florida. Los posibles impactos, si nos afecta aquí en el sur de la Florida, sería posiblemente tan pronto como el domingo, pero más probablemente el lunes y también posiblemente hasta el martes. O sea, tenemos algunos días este fin de semana para prepararnos para un posible impacto. Todavía hay bastante incertidumbre en cuanto a la trayectoria que va a tomar esta tormenta y también con qué fuerza o qué fuerza va a tener. Pero simplemente hay que seguir vigilando el sistema, como lo vamos a hacer nosotros, y nosotros vamos a pasar esa información a todos ustedes con los informes cada 6 horas. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Moriera. Now, Division Director for Office of Emergency Management, Deputy Incident Commander, Charles Surreal.
Good morning, everyone. With Hurricane Elsa strengthening into Category 1 hurricane, the Miami-Dade County Office of Emergency Management and the Florida Division of Emergency Management are working together to assess all potential impacts as it approaches. As we enter the holiday weekend, please ensure you monitor the progress of this storm and begin your personal preparedness. Make sure you have 3 to 7 days of supplies on hand for each person in your home. Additionally, residents are urged to begin securing their home in preparation for potential impacts. Any objects that can easily be blown away by a hurricane winds should begin to be secured, either tied down or brought indoors. Examples are garbage cans, patio furniture, etc. And be sure to take tree trimmings to your local trash and recycling center. It is critically important that these preparatory activities begin today. Also, be sure that your emergency equipment, such as hurricane shutters, and battery-powered radios are working and are in order. Please test them today. Find out if you live in an evacuation zone, know your zone, and as always, the 311 contact center is available for any questions. If you would like more information, please visit miamidade.gov/emergency. Miami-Dade County officials will continue to monitor the storm and will ensure any advisories in conjunction with the National Weather Service as they become necessary. Stay informed of all latest developments by downloading the Ready MDC app. Of course, the ongoing search and rescue mission, as well as providing support for the afflicted families, remains our highest priority. Our Family Assistance Center is open from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. 7 days a week. There are currently 26 organizations there providing services to the families and their survivors. Mental health, grief counseling, financial lodging, travel, and many other services to those in need are being provided to date. Currently, there are 63 families that have been served. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sorrell. And now in Spanish, on behalf of the Deputy Incident Commander, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, Director of Media and Public Relations, Erica Benitez.
Muy buenos días. Como ya saben todos, estamos en plena temporada de huracanes y al entrar este fin de semana festivo queremos que se aseguren de comenzar sus planes de preparación personales. Asegure de tener todos los suministros disponibles por lo menos de 3 a 7 días. Además, instamos a todos los residentes a mantenerse informados descargando la aplicación de Ready MDC para más información. También los residentes deben comenzar a proteger sus hogares en este momento. Cualquier objeto que pueda ser arrastrado fácilmente por el viento debe comenzar ya a asegurarlo desde ahora. Lleve los recortes de árbol a un centro de reciclaje y basura local. Además, asegúrese de que su equipo de emergencia, como contraventanas para huracanes, además radios de batería y todo lo que puede llegar a necesitar en estos casos, esté listo y preparado. También averigüe si usted vive en una zona de evacuación. Como siempre, el centro de información o de contacto, el 311, está disponible para cualquier pregunta que tengan sobre la preparación para este fin de semana. Además, si desea obtener más información sobre estos planes de preparación, puede visitar miamidade.gov/emergency. Los funcionarios del condado de Miami-Dade continúan monitoreando la tormenta y emitirán cualquier aviso necesario para mantenerlos informados. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Erica. And now Surfside Mayor Charles Burkett.
Good morning, everybody. As I usually do now, early this morning I spent a good amount of time at the site. I also went up to the family briefing, and I have a couple messages from there. Chief Brian Rafsky has done a stupendous job arranging for the families to be moved around this town, and being able to obtain the services that we're offering. They've instituted bus trams, and the families can now just hop on and hop off and get to where they need easily, which is a great step forward. With respect to the maximum effort that's being put forward by Search and Rescue, I want to personally commend Chief Ray Jadilla for working 20 hours a day and sleeping 4 hours a night since the beginning of this. He's the only guy that I see, well, I should take that back. He's the guy that I always see when I'm here, and I'm here a lot. Okay, I'm sleeping a little more than 4 hours a night. It's probably up to 5.5 or 6, but Ray has been a beacon, a rock, a source of hope for the families. He's there at those briefings every single day, answering very tough questions. He is passionate, he's compassionate, he's understanding, and he's, most importantly, he's flexible. He's heard the direction from the county mayor, he's heard the direction from the state officials, from the governor, he's heard the directions from the president, and he's following them. He's not letting bureaucratic roadblocks get in the way. The support for the families is unparalleled. It really is. It's astounding how wonderful and beautiful our resources, our county resources, our local resources, all the municipalities that are joining together. It's like a chorus, and it's just playing beautifully. I mean, and I can tell you from firsthand experience that the families appreciate it and acknowledge it, and they do it over and over again in those meetings. So there's not any dissatisfaction that I've been able to detect, and I'm looking for that, because my role here is, I've got a very small role, but I make it a point to be where everybody is, so that if there is a problem, I can bring it up to County Mayor Cava, I can bring it up to Florida Governor DeSantis, and I can make our senators aware, and that's what I've been doing, and that's been working, because when there has been a glitch, it has been immediately addressed. I want to personally call out and thank Governor DeSantis and Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez for being in Surfside as much as they are in Surfside. It's very difficult for them to run the state of Florida, but also spend as much time as they do here. I can tell you from the town of Surfside, and I imagine from the families and the residents of South Florida, we are all very, very grateful, and it's super reassuring to see their faces all the time around this disaster. I want to also congratulate, listen, we had a very difficult situation yesterday where the work was stopped, and there was incredible pressure on Mayor Cava, incredible. I know for a fact that I was asking a lot of hard questions, and she was rock solid. She did what she needed to do, and she got that work started up again. And I know the families and everybody else is very thankful for that, and we praise her leadership skills. A lot of people have called about animals in the building. They're concerned. It's not one or two people. I get calls and emails all the time, and they want to know whether or not we can get in there to rescue the animals. I will say that I know for a fact that that building has been covered at least 3 times by brave men and women of the search and rescue teams, up and down, looking for anything alive. And to this point, I haven't heard that they've seen anything. Moreover, I heard today that there are drones flying around inside that building also looking, and I know that if there were issues with respect to animals in there, that we would probably hear about it. So for those folks that are really worried and losing sleep over that, just know that your county officials have that in mind and are not discounting that. Last thing I want to do, 2 more things. I just want to tell you that I'm meeting today with the displaced families from Champlain South, who were immediately taken care of. Again, the work that the county has done in conjunction with the state authorities and the federal authorities is really something I think that's going to come out later on after we get over the shock and horror of this collapse. And we're not going to talk too much about it, but suffice to say, it is working. Government is working. Most people don't see government working a lot, but right here, right now, government is working, and I'm going to meet with the displaced families. They've asked me to come over and talk to them, so I'm going to make sure that they're getting everything they need, and if they're not, I'm going to make sure they do. Last thing, Champlain North, the building that's substantially the same as the building that came down, the same construction, the same developer, the same name, probably the same materials. People are worried. Some people are especially worried, and we have made arrangements for them to be relocated. Further, our building official, in conjunction with our experts, are now getting ready to x-ray columns and do a deep dive, a forensic study into the structure, take that data back, plug it into the models, and get to the point where we can definitively tell the people that are living there whether or not we think there's an issue or not, which I'm hopeful will give our residents a little more peace of mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And now for Creole translation, Lionel Laribo.
Bonjour tout le monde. Hier soir, nous continuons le travail que nous avons toujours fait et nous avons découvert deux nouveaux victimes. Une victime, malheureusement, c'est une petite fille qui a 7 années et qui a perdu la vie. Papa lui a travaillé comme pompier, comme agent pompier dans Miami-Dade. Nous connaissons comment ça a été difficile pour toute l'équipe là pour te faire découvrir ça. Nous demandons pour continuer à prier pour eux de côté par eux. Victime nous, c'est victime qui sortent tout partout, c'est pas victime au quartier ni en comté seulement, ils sortent tout partout dans le monde. Pour le moment, nous comptons 20 morts, nous gagnons 188 que nous joignons et gagnons 128 personnes que nous pouvons joindre toujours. Pour le moment, ingénieurs avec équipe pompiers travaillent pour être capables d'évaluer de sorte que sont capables d'évaluer et joindre qui sont capables d'étendre zone de recherche qu'il y a à faire. Pour le moment, il a évalué tout, qui gens sont capables d'attaquer question de démolition pour le fait, pour la vie moun, pas mettre en danger encore. Nous avons suivi comment Elsa a évolué, elle est sortie de niveau tempête tropicale, elle est passée dans le niveau ouragan. Et dimanche, à la mi-journée, probablement nous sommes capables de gagner de forts vents et peut-être de fortes pluies. Pour le moment, je demande à tout le monde songer que nous avons saison cyclone, et saison cyclone, c'est le moment que tout le monde doit préparer pour conséquences cyclone. Nous tous connaissons, faire attention et protéger tête nous, protéger la vie. Merci.
Thank you, Mr. Laribo. Now we're going to be opening up for questions. Please address it to who the question is for, and then.
Two questions. First question is for anybody. Are there any fears that the winds could bring down the building, the hurricane or tropical storm? And to the fire chief, is there any way you could talk about just the mental state that somebody could go to work knowing that their child is there? And I mean, the story has pretty much gutted so many people about the firefighter fighting the daughter. And just what kind of mental state somebody could go to work and go through?
Yes, in regards to the hurricane, now another significant obstacle in the horizon heading this direction. So yes, we have engineers. We have an established engineer group. We've had them on site from the beginning with our USAR teams. Now we've incorporated more engineers, so we're using our state and federal assets as well, and then as well as our county assets locally. So we have an engineer team which is developing all different plans. We have more equipment now monitoring, so we brought more resources in the other day, where we're continuing. As I stated, from the incident when this began, it's just so challenging. So many different obstacles, one after the other. And that building standing definitely has been a huge obstacle, and the hazards that, for our men and women that are out there working. As a fire chief, that's my top priority, saving lives and protecting our personnel. And that goes hand in hand. So it's a delicate balance and very, very difficult decisions at time to make. For the windstorms, we'll monitor and we'll have to see if the direction of the storm and how close it gets, and then we'll have to make the necessary precautions and modifications to our plan. And then also, I do want to comment to the second question. Every victim we remove, it's difficult. It's very difficult. We try to respect. We have a whole process in regards to how we remove each individual that we come across. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to remove any survivors yet, but it's very difficult. And last night was even more, when we're removing a fellow firefighter's daughter. And that's just where I want to emphasize the emotion, what we're feeling. You know, as firefighters, we do what we do, you know, and it's kind of a calling, and we always say that. And but it still takes a toll, you know, and that's why you see more resources coming through. You know, our brave men and women of our Florida task force, you know, we've been going, you know, nonstop. And so it's, you know, it's nice with our federal resources coming through, and this has always, you know, been the plan. You know, I just was hoping that we've had some survivors so far.
Chief, just to follow up on that, first of all, I'm so sorry about your team member's child. Timeline for it, I know you're not releasing names, but how is the whole team dealing with it? How is he doing and their family? And then a follow-up to that, how do you all keep avoiding the word recovery at this point?
Well, I mean, obviously the firefighters are emotional. You know, I'm not going to disclose anything, and you know, I respect for the family, but you know, it takes a toll. You know, it takes a toll. You know, in regards to keep going, it's how we evaluate what we look for. You know, certain aspects. So, you know, we know we still have several individuals missing, and that's kind of our primary focus to see if you know, we have a survivor.
Question right here.
I'm sorry, everyone really wants to know, clarify this here. Was that firefighter actually working on the file at this time, or was it others who rescued him, and were they there observing, and was there some kind of service? What we were hearing, you know, work stopped and there was a moment, and I forgive the question, but the whole world's heart is broken, and we just wanted to.
No, well, I mean, it was Florida Task Force 2. We're out there in different work groups. So out of the work groups that go through, you know, they were part. The father wasn't part of that process, but obviously was notified. And, you know, we don't stop because we're searching, but we do make modifications. And we do that with each group. You know, each rescue group, when we come across an individual, you know, obviously we pay our respect. We have a process, I'm not going to go into details, but with different religious faiths, we have a process that we started from the very, very beginning, and we comply with that. So it's obviously with police and homicide involved, and there are multiple steps. You know, we'll definitely disclose what we did at a later time. I don't think now's the time, but definitely I want to emphasize we do that, and we honor all the loved ones that we lost. Sorry,
Mayor, you mentioned it would take a while before the building would actually potentially be taken down. Can you update us where you guys are in the decision process, and when would the earliest potential be for that building to actually come down?
So we've had a couple of meetings with the engineers. They're meeting regularly to look at exactly what would be the process, and we are going to move expeditiously. But we're going to move expeditiously on decision making, but it will take some time for the demolition to occur.
Thank you. There's a last question here.
Spanish, please, can we have Spanish about how you guys feel the fire rescue, about finding the kid that belongs to the ¿Nos puede, por favor, ahorita decir cómo se siente el cuerpo de bomberos saber tener que encontrar la hija del colega y si ese colega estaba activo trabajando?
Bueno, no voy a entrar en detalles, obviamente, por la privacidad que queremos darle a la familia en este momento de gran duelo, pero como padres de familia y aquellas personas que tienen hijos pueden imaginarse en el dolor. Es desgarrador lo que pasó aquí, y aún más si es tan cercano, algo tan cercano como un hijo. Estas personas, estos rescatistas que están arriesgando sus propias vidas, no dejan de ser humanos. El hecho de encontrar un hijo, una hija en estas condiciones es desgarrador, es fuertísimo, es escalofriante el pensar, pasar por un momento así, y me imagino, como cualquier otra persona, es un momento el cual no se le desea a nadie, especialmente cuando ellos están aquí salvando vidas, y llegar a un momento donde no poder salvar la vida de un ser tan cercano como su propio hijo es desgarrador, y esto como seres humanos llega muy adentro del alma.
I just want to emphasize that for all of us here and across the world, we know that this entire processes as if it were our own children, our own parents, our own sisters and brothers and grandparents. That's how it is every day here and around the world. Thank you. Que quiero decir y agradecer que todos sabemos que puede ser nuestros hijos, nuestros padres, hermanos, abuelos, y sabemos que el mundo entero está con nosotros. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.